Hello students, welcome to this video tutorial titled Working with Integer Tiles. So while you're watching this video, you should also have open your Google slide, which should be called Working with Integer Tiles Student Copy. Alright, let's begin. When using integer tiles, there are two kinds of tiles you will be working with. The positive integer tile, which is a red square with a plus sign inside of it, and then the negative integer tile, which is a square with a minus sign in it. So let's see how we use these tiles. So let's go on to slide 3. Part 1, representing integers. So at the bottom of your slide, you'll see I've created for you an integer tile bin that has all of these digital or virtual manipulatives here. All right, let's begin with question A. -3. Because there is a negative sign in front of the 3, we know we're going to use negative integer tiles. And how many do we need? Well, we need 3. So there's no real rule on how we line up these integer tiles. Just make them neat, okay? Make sure it creates a neat diagram. We can align them horizontally. We can align them vertically. Or we can have them in a very neat cluster as long as they're all together and very close, like this. We want them close so that they're easy to count, okay? All right, let's go on to question B. +5. Because there's a positive sign in front of the 5, let's bring over 5 positive tiles. So in this diagram, I'm going to align them a little bit differently. I'm going to make them all horizontal. I find if they're horizontal, they're just easier to count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. In question C, -6, because there's a negative sign in front of the 6, we're going to bring over 6 negative tiles. So this time, I'm going to try a different cluster here, and I'm going to just judge. I'm going to try to find out the best system for counting these tiles. Now, if you have a lot of tiles to bring over, what you can do is you can click on one tile, and then hold the Shift key down, and then click on another tile, or as many tiles as you need, and then you can move at that many tiles over at the same time. So now I've got a 2 by 3 cluster, as long as they're easy to count. 2, 4, 6, -6. Okay, let's go on to the next slide. Part 2, the zero model. Okay, now the zero model is a very important concept when learning about integers, and especially we're going to use them later on when we're adding integers, subtracting integers, and in our algebra unit. All right, so let's start with the simplest zero model where we have one positive tile and one negative tile. Positive tile and a negative tile cancel each other out. We have a net value of 0. So to kind of highlight the fact that they are a zero model, or they create a zero model, we're going to draw a loop around them. So let's go to the Insert menu. Let's go to Shape, Shapes, and then let's choose the rounded rectangle. I'm going to draw a very neat loop around that zero model. Don't make it too big. Make it pretty close to those tiles. Now you notice that it colors in, so we can't see the tiles behind them. So what we're going to do is we're going to look for the Fill Color button. We're going to choose Transparent. The next button over is Line Color. We're going to choose Red. And then finally, the next button over is Line Weight. Let's give it a little bit more weight so we can see it. How about 3 point? All right, so there we have a zero model clearly marked with a loop around it. Okay, so how can we create other examples of zero models? Well, the obvious choice now is to bring over 2 positive tiles. I'm going to put a little bit of space between them. And then we're going to have 2 corresponding negative tiles. And I'm going to put those pretty close to the positive tiles. So now what we've done is we've created 2 zero models with a net value of 0. So let's go to Insert, Shape, Shapes, Rounded Rectangle. I'm going to try to draw a rectangle that surrounds the first zero model. Now in this case, because I stack them vertically, the zero models go vertically, my loops have to go vertically as well. I can't really create a horizontal loop because I can't really circle a positive and a positive. That does not create a zero model. So I'm going to go to Fill Color, Transparent, Line Color, Red, and then Line Weight 3. So I've circled one zero model. So what we can do is we can click on that loop. We can go to Edit, Copy, Edit, Paste. And rather than drawing it again, because I know that this is the perfect size of loop, I can just copy and paste it. So now I've got two zero models. So this is why it's very important to kind of group your integer tiles in a very organized way. All right, so let's create one more diagram of zero models. So this time, I'm going to create a diagram that has four zero models. Rather than just being very predictable and going with three zero models, I skip that one and I'm going to go to four zero models. So I've got four positive tiles and four negative tiles lined up right next to the positive tiles. Okay? All right, so let's mark those zero models. Now, sometimes when we get to have a large number of zero models, it doesn't make a lot of sense to circle the zero models individually, but this is only four zero models, so I don't think it's a big deal, especially now that I know the copy and paste trick. All right, so let's surround the first zero model here, make it transparent, make it red, line weight of 3, and then I could copy, paste. I can move the next one into place, trying to keep things very neat. And then I could paste again. And I'm going to create my third loop. And then I'm going to paste again. All right. So now I've created a diagram of four zero models. And I could have had a little separation between the two so that the diagram looks a little neater like this one. But this is okay too. This is pretty obvious that I've got four zero models. Okay, so let's go on to the next slide, the last slide, representing integers with zero models. So how does knowing how to create zero models help us when representing integers? All right, so we've got two questions. Question A, -2. So I want to come up with three different models that represent -2. All right, well, the most obvious, which we learned on slide 3, is to just bring over two negative tiles. So that's pretty simple. So that's model 1, -2. All right, let's come up with a different kind of tile diagram for the same integer. So we're going to need the two negative tiles because eventually we're going to have to be left with two negatives. But then what if we added in one zero model here? Okay. Now we go up, we circle the zero model like so. So let's examine this diagram. We actually have three negative tiles and one positive tile. But the positive and the one negative tile can be grouped together to form a zero model. Remember, the net value of a zero model is 0. So if we actually take this zero model away, we're left with two negatives. And that's the integer that we wanted to represent. Okay, so let's come up with a third different model to represent the integer -2. Okay, so if you were really smart, what you can do is you can surround this zero model. Let's see if it'll work. No, how about we do this? We click on the positive tile. Okay, I'm trying to highlight just these elements. Let's see if I can do that. So let's go to Edit, Copy, Edit, Paste. Did that work? Yes, I've got one zero model here. And then what if I pasted it again to create two zero models? So let's examine this model now. I've got four negative tiles and two positive tiles. But the positive and the negative can be grouped together to form a zero model, and so can this positive and negative. So I've created two zero models. Eventually, we would want to take these zero models away, and we're left with the original integer of -2. Okay, so that's how we can represent a single integer multiple ways. I can have three zero models, four zero models, it doesn't matter. Okay, Let's go on to question B. Now that we know what we're doing, now that we know the secret here, it's going to be pretty simple. So positive 3 is our model 1, easy. When we go to model 2, we know that we have to start with 3 positive tiles, like so. And then what I can do is, it should still be in the clipboard. I should go to Edit, Paste, and then I can have 1, 0 model here. Okay, so let's look at model 2. I've got 3 positive tiles and I've got 1, 0 model. If I take the 0 model away, I'm still left with 3 positive tiles. All right, so let's go to the last example. I know it gets very repetitive since now that we know what we're doing, but it's just good practice. So I'm going to bring over my 3 positive tiles because again, I need to end up with positive 3 as my integer. And it should still be in the clipboard because I haven't copied and pasted anything. So I'm going to go over here and paste 0 model, and I'm going to go to Edit, Paste, another 0 model, and just to be fun, I'm going to paste a third 0 model here. Okay, so I've got my 3 positive tiles and I've got my 3 0 models. Eventually we're going to move these 0 models away and we're going to be left with 3 positive tiles. I don't want to get rid of them now because then this diagram will look exactly like model 1. We want to show 3 different models of the same integer. Okay, so that's our introduction to working with integer tiles. Thanks for watching. Bye.